Make sure my camera's right. Oh, nope, it's not. Here we go. Okie dokie. I think that's good. And let's see if this will back it out a little bit. Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good on this Tuesday. Let me know what you guys are doing today. If you are going to be joining in, if you're going to crochet along with me. For anyone watching the replay, my name is Evelyn of Pink Sheep Design, and we are working on part 3 of our mini puff jacket. So this is my progress. I believe that I started on the front panel on part 2, but I had to frog it back so that I could make a cake out of what was left of my yarn. So I actually frogged that back. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick while we let people join. And like I said, let me know if you are working along with me today, if you are just hanging out, and what you're working on. If you aren't working on a mini puff, and I am going to, like I said, I have to flip this because I already showed this part, and I'm going to have to do it again really quick. So let me look at my pattern. I'm joining into the 10th stitch. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. So you need to join into this. And like I said, I'm having to repeat a section. I think I did one full row of the first front panel when we ended the last part 2, but I'm having to redo that because I had to frog my work back. And a lot of that, I don't know if I shared it or not. I think I probably showed you guys I was kind of struggling to deal with 2 different strands of yarn for this one. So I am holding Bernat Blanket and Bernat Forever Fleece together for this. And there's something about these 2 that they're kind of getting staticky and sticking together. So I was struggling, and they're both really big balls of yarn. So I was kind of struggling to have them separated. So I decided to try and cake them up held double to make it easier, which it did. It was definitely worth it. It wasn't super easy to cake the 2 of them together. That took some patience. But it was definitely worth the effort because using double-stranded yarn and having it pre-caked double-stranded definitely makes your life easier. So if you're doing that, you can consider, if you have a yarn winder, you can try doing that. Okay, so this should be about where we left off. So we've got first front panel, back panel, second panel. And like I said, if you need help attaching your second panel, so you actually attach right here, and you work your first row this direction towards the outside of the jacket. You can watch the end of part 2. The end of part 2, I actually flipped my camera around so you guys could see what was happening. Let's see. So Tracy is here. Hello, Tracy. And of course, I'm trying to look through these comments, so it may try to focus closer up. So it may mess up the focus of the video. So I apologize for that in advance. Alice is here working along with you today, a bit ahead. So I'm just finishing off my Ginny jumper to start. Super smart considering I had to go back and do this first part. Ellen is here. Emma is here. Hello, hello. Lavender Lotus. Hi, everyone here hanging out while I work the day job. Still need to start the gauge swatch. You have plenty of time to catch up. That's the thing. A lot of people get ahead. And hello, Ellen. Hello. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. But like I said, I love doing these live because it really shows the timeline for this. And I'm going to scoot back so you guys can actually see me working. And if anyone joins in, they can see that we're actually crocheting and not just chatting. But today I am hoping that I can finish the front panel. That is my goal. And this is like the cutest little cake. So like I said, if you guys have not joined the Facebook group, if you're here and you haven't joined the Facebook group, I definitely recommend it because you can share progress. We've got quite a few people who are working along with me on this jacket who are getting to share their progress in the Facebook group, which is really fun to get to see. I think my favorite part of not just crochet-alongs, but seeing people working up my patterns in general is just seeing what kind of colors you guys choose, what kind of yarn you choose. It's really fun to see people choose yarn combinations that I wouldn't have thought of. I think that's, um, I wouldn't say, I don't know, I feel like I've always kind of struggled with that like creative design side, for color work and especially combining different types of yarn. Um, and so I feel like, for me, inspiration usually comes from social media and other designers, other artists. I look at the color combinations they've used. I look at the yarn types of yarn combinations there that they've used. And then it kind of gives me that inspiration of, okay, what can I do, especially being in the bulky and super bulky side? How can I um, make that my own and do something that is more up my alley um, with the super bulky yarn. So now this one, my yarn choices for this one, I think it's really just, I had been on a kick of buying yarn that was like pink and orange. That's really the Pink Sheep brand colors. I really gravitate towards the pinks and the oranges first. And then the secondary colors are really the yellows and the purples, would be the secondary colors. And then from there, I like to throw in some teal here and there and maybe some green. But I had bought a lot of pink and orange, and when I saw this blanket yarn, I knew I needed it in my life. It was one of those things where I saw it and had to have it, had to have it. But there wasn't any locally. So I actually had one of my social media fiber friends. She had some at a local store. And so I paid her to pick some up for me and ship it to me, because this was one of those elusive limited edition yarn options that was put out with, it was a collaboration with Michaels and Bernat yarn. So Yarnspirations and Michaels. And they do that a lot. They'll put out kind of these limited edition yarn options that it's very difficult to get them online unless you jump right on it and, you get your timing right. And then they don't always have it in all the stores. So it can be difficult, even if you hit up all the stores in your area, you may not find what you're looking for. So I feel like I got really lucky being able to get this. And I knew when I saw it that this is what I wanted to make with it. I wanted to make a mini puff jacket. But if you guys have seen the original mini puff, it was that really, really fluffy Chanel style yarn. And blanket yarn just isn't that fluffy, so I didn't want the jacket to be too holey. I really wanted it to be full, like I wanted the stitches to be full. And that's why I decided to double strand the yarn. So far, I'm really happy with it. I like the thickness of the fabric that it's creating, and it's not going to have a lot of drape because of that. But I'm okay with that. This is more of a jacket, and I wanted to be able to wear it over a long sleeve shirt and have kind of that structure. So I think it's going to be nice. I'm really excited. But if I had, for instance, not double stranded it and just gone with Bernat blanket and my 12 millimeter hook, because I ended up going with a 12 for this one, it would have a little bit of a different look. And I think that's what's, to me, is really great about super bulky yarn. Most of my patterns, it's an entirely different look depending on the yarn you use, which I think is really cool, because it can all look so different. And I think that the super bulky and jumbo type yarns, even now, a lot of people still consider those more of like a novelty category. They're very different. And, even if you go in the bulky category and you're double stranding, and that gives it its own look, that's an entirely different look in itself if you're double stranding a bulky yarn to create a super bulky. option. So it's really fun. I think that's just another reason why I like super bulky yarn and chunky yarn. All right, so here's my progress so far. I'm really pushing to try to get through this first front panel. That's been my big goal. That's what I wanted to get completed for this one. I would love to know, so anyone who is hanging out, if you, especially if you're not crocheting right now, if you're just listening in, maybe you're working or something. I'm guessing Cinder is probably here working and lurking. Let me know, because I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed that everybody is getting a head start on Black Friday. Everybody. So just in the last couple of months, really in the last year, I have started working with different brands to promote their products. And I seek it out. So I wouldn't work with just anybody. I try to find products and companies that I really like for multiple reasons. I want to feel good about the company that I'm working with. Hobie is one of them. I work a lot with Hobie yarn. I'm actually surprised I'm not using Hobie yarn for this one. They have two challenges that they have going on right now. And I will have to share that yarn with you guys because it's pretty exciting. I'm going to be making another Granger cardigan because I only made one. That was the one that I made for the pattern. And it's been a long time coming for me to make a second one. And I thought about doing that for a Crochet-A-Long, but I'm using faux fur yarn. So even if I was showing you guys a close-up of what was happening, it would be really, really hard for me to really showcase what that would be like, because it's so difficult to work with that. It's difficult to see the rows and to see the stitches and all of that. So I would feel kind of bad doing a Crochet-A-Long that wouldn't be very easy to follow along with because of the type of yarn that I was using. But all of that to say, a lot of companies are really getting a head start on Black Friday sales, and I would love to know if you guys have items on your list that you are seeking out Black Friday sales. So do you go shopping on Black Friday? Do you shop online? What is on your list this year? Do you have any brands that you're hoping will have sales? Because I feel like there's so much happening with sales. Oh, and I can't get this through. Here we go. There we go. Getting some progress. There we are. I feel like I'm about halfway through with that front panel. We're getting there. Okay, let's see. Lita D is here. Hello, Lita. Another cloudy day is here. Hey, everyone, I made it. Yay! Welcome, welcome. Ellen says, I just love that yarn. I know, it makes me so happy. It's going to be so soft, and I feel like it's going to be really warm. That's fingers crossed, because I don't really like the cold. So anything to stay warmer. And I do see Cinder is here lurking. Started your Christmas cardigan test last night. Yes, I have a Christmas cardigan pattern that's going to be coming out that I'm really excited about. I have been wanting to make what I would consider like a classic Christmas cardigan, my spin, I guess, on a classic Christmas cardigan. And that is in testing right now. And I'm really, really, really hoping, fingers crossed, that the test goes well, because I would love to have it released by the end of November. So, like you guys know, most of my patterns work up really fast. So if I can have that pattern ready to go by the end of November, then you guys will have plenty of time to crochet yourselves a Christmas cardigan for Christmas and holiday parties and whatever it is that, that you want to wear it to. But really excited about that design. So Cindra, I can't wait to see yours. I hope that you love it. I've had a few people who have finished, but Cindra has been testing lots of things for me. We have a few testers right now that are working themselves to the bone because they have signed up for so many tests. And there were a few times where I said, are you sure? But if you guys want to, I love it. I need the help. Obviously, it's a huge part of the process, making sure that these items are going to work up like they're supposed to. Let's see. Emma says, I made a big chunky Baymax yesterday. He turned out so cuddly. Is that remind me what that's from, because it sounds familiar, but I don't remember. Thorn is here. Hello. I always forget it's Tuesday, but I'm happy I made it. Love hanging out with y'all. I'm so glad you're here as well. Using Hobie right now. What's this about? A challenge. Okay, so Hobie has two challenges happening. One of them was a Black Friday. It's a Black Friday giveaway. So I say challenge. That's how they put these things out to the what they think they call it, the creator community. So they have a community of like influencers and affiliates that they work with, which anyone can apply to. So that's something that, if you're interested in working with Hobie, it's open application. I think you just go to their website or search out Hobie affiliate. You may be able to just reach out through Instagram and you can apply. But they work with a lot of different creators, and they did a huge giveaway to kind of pre-lead into Black Friday sales. And I can't remember off the top of my head because I don't have it in front of me. But if you look back, I believe was it a reel or a post? I think it's just a post. It was a post on my page, and I'm holding two big Hobie bags. So if you go back through my Instagram feed and find the picture of me holding the Hobie shipping bags, that is the giveaway information. It may still be going on. I'm not 100% sure if anyone is on the feed and knows if Hobie has already announced winners. It was a pretty big giveaway. They were going to choose 4 different winners, and they would get to choose a yarn package valued of up to about $130. So there were 4 different things to choose from. So that was exciting. That was the first one. And as a part of that, they have sent us, we got to choose some yarn to create. I don't think we had to make anything specific. I think we just got to choose. And so I got some yarn, and I'm going to be revealing it in the next couple of weeks, I think, is when I'm supposed to reveal the yarn. So right now it's a secret. But I'm really excited because it is a yarn that I would not have splurged on myself. It is also a yarn that I did not see any reviews on YouTube. So I'm excited to not only get to use it, because like I said, it's one that I would not have splurged on for myself. And I'm really, really gracious to get to try it. But I'm also going to get to share a review with you guys. So I really want to do a review of that one because there's not a review of that particular yarn on YouTube. So I did go to for yarn reviews of chunkier yarn. And I would love that too. If you guys have a yarn that you've never used and you want to know about, let me know in the comments here in the chat, so that I can do a review. I just posted, I think today, a review of Premier Parfait XL, because that's a big one. And that's one that I had not used up until just a couple of months ago. I got to try it for the first time. And that's a big one in the jumbo amigurumi world, Parfait XL. A lot of amigurumi stuffy makers like to use that yarn, and I had not used it. Michaels kind of has their own version of that yarn as well. So I'm really excited about that. I can't share that one with you guys yet, but you'll see it on my Instagram feed in the next week or two, because I'll do a reveal of that as part of the announcement of Hobie's Black Friday sale. So they are going to be having a sale, and it may have already started. I feel like a lot of places, like I said, have already started with their Black Friday sales. Lost my train of thought there. Oh, so the other challenge, Thorn had asked about the challenges. So the first one was that Black Friday shenanigans that's happening with the giveaway, and then that will lead into their Black Friday sale. And then you'll see some different creators talking about the yarn that they chose for, and it was hashtag Black Fry-Yay. So the Fry-Yay, Friyay. If you search that hashtag, that will be that challenge. And then the other one that they've got happening is Hobie Sparkle Season. So if you search hashtag Hobie Sparkle Season, that is the other one that just started. And that is the one where I am using faux fur. So it is Hobie's peacock yarn. And I'm holding it double because it is a 5-weight. And I am also using their Miss Sparkle yarn, which is crazy. It's like Tinsel Factory. I'm also holding that double, and that's what I'm using to make a new Ginny. So I'm really excited. Or Granger cardigan. I'm making a Granger cardigan with Peacock and Miss Sparkle from Hobie, and that is their Sparkle Season challenge. So if you do the hashtag Hobie Sparkle Season, you'll see a lot of different posts with some of their different yarns that is shiny. Okay, progress check, so you guys can see, and I am out of yarn from my cake. And because I was not thinking ahead, I did not cake up my other yarn. So this is going to be fun. I am going to open up, I have my new blanket yarn because that's what I'm totally out of. I still have this awful hunk of forever fleece that I'm getting to deal with. And then I'm going to open this one. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn, and let me show you guys how I do this, because I don't do anything fancy when I'm swapping my yarn over. And I don't know if you guys have seen this. If anyone is a Labyrinth fan, this was one of my first designs that I put out. You remind me of the babe with the yarn, and it's got the flowers, and it's the Jareth, his crystal ball, but it's a yarn ball. So love this one. And now that it's getting cooler outside, I'm going to be wearing my sweatshirts a lot more. Okay, so I'm going to flip this around for you guys. And here we go. Let me hold that in place. Alrighty, let's turn that a little bit. Okay, so I've had a couple people ask me how I change over my yarn when I run out. Here are my 2 yarn ends. I don't do anything fancy. I don't just tie a regular knot, so I figured that's why it would be good to show you guys. So this is my new yarn over here. This is the new yarn here. If I'm using 2 of the same yarn, sometimes I'll tie these 2 ends together, and then once these are tied together, I'll loop it through and tie these ends together. But since I'm using 2 separate types of yarn, I'm going to do it this way. So I do a double knot, and I guess it would be considered a double knot because I actually wrap it around. Instead of just wrapping around once like this, I wrap it around again. So I do that, and then I do the same thing again. So I will wrap it once. Whoop, this yarn is kind of slippery. So let's wrap it once, and then I'm going to wrap it again. So I've got 2 double knots, and those get pulled together. And I just make sure that it doesn't slip. So I can really, really pull on that, and it's not going to come undone. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Now with blanket yarn, it's kind of overkill, I think, to do it that way. So sometimes, so that it's not so thick, I'll do 1 double. So I'm going to wrap that once, wrap it once, wrap it twice. But then the second one, I just wrap once like that. And then I can pull. And see, that one, it's not going anywhere. So that's fine. And then I've got my little snips. These are huge. It's my huge yarn scissors. But they're so sharp. These are good. The Fiskars scissors are really nice. All right, so I'm going to snip my ends. Okay, there we go. I'll be able to throw those away. All right, so now I've got these 2, and I'm going to have to deal with this. Usually I'll try to just give myself, go ahead and give myself quite a bit of slack on this yarn, especially if it's not caked up. I know I'll work through that pretty quick, but we'll do that. All right, so let me flip this back around. because I know y'all want to see my face. There we go. That should be good, right? Let's see. Let's see if is that low enough? Yes, that's perfect. Okay, so I am going to keep going on this front panel, and let me make sure we see what I need to talk about and what you guys are chatting about. Jenny's jumper finished. I'm joining back in with the mini puff now. Woo woo, Alice, I want to see your Jenny jumper because I haven't seen enough of those, and I am. So you guys know the Jenny jumper is not a fully size inclusive pattern. It was one of my early patterns where I was still learning so much about sizing. That is on the top of my list to revamp. So be ready for a new and improved Jenny jumper pattern. I will need some testers too, so keep that in mind. But that's one that's on my list because I am ready to revamp that one. So I'll need to make a new one. Hello, Shatika. Welcome. Peace and blessings and crochet. Thorn says, I have a couple of Grafgans I'm going to get yarn for via Black Friday sales. And let me know where you're ordering from. Are you doing Hobie? Are you waiting for a Black Friday sale somewhere else? Alice says, I bought so much yarn lately. I need to stay away from sales. Well, and not just yarn. Are there items on your wish list for Christmas? Are there other things that you're trying to get on sale besides yarn? I would love to know what you guys are, what you have your eye on. Lion Brand and Bernat are my favorites. This is Lavender Lotus. And I don't know if you mean for sales or just yarn in general, if you're going to be looking for Black Friday sales from those two brands. Shatika says, beautifully cozy. Alice is excited for the Christmas cardigan. It's going to be good. I'm really excited about that one. I think it's going to be really nice. It's a little different from anything I've done, and it's got an option for a duster length, so quite a bit longer of a cardigan, which is nice because most of my designs are fairly cropped. They're not what I would consider a crop top, you know, but they hit me right around my waist. You know, I am pretty short-waisted. I don't have a lot of space from under my arm to my waist. And so most of the time I have them hit me here, and I feel like that's a nice silhouette for me. But I've had a lot of people requesting longer options. And so this one will be really fun because you can make it quite a bit longer. And the instructions are written out in the pattern as to how to do that. So that makes it easy, even for beginners. You know, if you're not used to modifying a pattern by yourself, you'll have all the instructions you need to modify it. So that is super helpful. Okay, I'm just going to speed through this row and see what else you guys are talking about, because I know I'm not caught up with my comments today. But I really wanted to get, I really want to get to a point where I can sew up the sides of this and we can do a fit check together today, because that will really put us in a good place with this being part 3 to get the fit check done before we move on. Okay. Let's see. Cinder says, pockets and a zipper left on the Max jacket. We'll try and get those done tonight. I'm so excited about the Max jacket. And I did have someone ask me, I think maybe in the Facebook group, if there was a tentative release date for that jacket. That one was difficult. And if you guys have ever wondered what the process is like when you're designing garments, it's not always a smooth ride, to say the least. And the Max jacket was one of those. So not only does the Max jacket take longer to make because you're using a 5-weight yarn and a 10mm hook. Think Dobby sweater. So if you guys have made the Dobby cardigan, that is a 5-weight 10mm hook project, and it just takes a little bit longer. You know, we did a Crochet-A-Long for that one, and it took about 10 hours. But this one also has ribbing. It has an optional zipper that a lot of the testers did decide to add the zipper. It's got pockets. So, you know, it's just a little more detail heavy. And there's a lot of different elements to it. So, not only was there that, but then I did not get the sizing right the first go around, which can happen. You know, I try to automate that. You know, I have standardized sizing that I go with. I have started using an Excel document to help me, and I'm pulling out more yarn if you guys are wondering what I'm doing. I use an Excel document to help automate that a little bit, which has helped make my process a little easier when I'm writing up the pattern and the instructions for each size. But that doesn't mean that it's devoid of mistakes. I mean, every now and then, that is what the testing process is for. And I had made a huge mistake on the front panels, the sizing of the front panels for that jacket. And so I had to push the deadline for that one out. And then when I decided to make a Christmas cardigan, I had a lot of the same people testing that one. And the Christmas cardigan obviously has a more important deadline because I want people to be able to make it before Christmas. So I had a few of my testers request that I, if possible, extend the deadline for the Max jacket so that they could focus on getting the Christmas cardigan completed, which makes total sense. And so I've just had to practice a lot of patience because I'm the type of person that, you know, I want things to happen quickly. And, you know, as a designer, you have to remember that, you know, there's no fire. There's no reason why you have to release patterns at a specific date unless, you know, you're being contracted by a yarn company to do that. And so, you know, there's no rush. I would much rather make sure that everything is right with that pattern before we release it. So I'm hoping that we can release the Max jacket in December. That would be amazing. So that way, Christmas cardigan, end of November, Max jacket, December. And then I should also be ready to release the Batwing style jacket. If you guys have been peeking that design on social media and in the Facebook group, that's a really exciting one. That one is sponsored by Hooked Yarn. So, you know, it's been ready to release for a minute now, but I have to wait on them to be ready to release it as well, since people will be able to buy the kit from Hooked if they want to buy the kit for the jacket. I think I'm going to change the name of that one. I haven't said this anywhere else yet. I had named it the Floor Jacket after Fleur Delacourt from Harry Potter, but it just sounds really weird to say, like the Fleur Jacket. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. And I know that Hooked is going to want it to be named after a city. So if you guys had seen my Angelica jacket that I made using t-shirt yarn, I call it the Angelica jacket, but if you look it up on Hooked's website, it's actually called the Jacket Birmingham. So I kept my original name because I wanted to call it the Angelica jacket, but they call it something else on theirs because their patterns are named after cities. And international cities too, obviously, because they are not located here in the US. So I decided that jacket to me looks very fashion forward. It's a structured jacket. It's got such an interesting look to it. Like I could see it being more of like a runway piece, that kind of thing, especially depending on the yarn that you use for it. And so I looked up what some of the fashion capitals of the world were, and, you know, where would I want to wear that jacket? You know, if I had a crazy weekend where I could go somewhere really cool to wear it. And one of the cities listed on that list was Vegas. And I was like, the Vegas jacket would be so cool. So I think I'm going to rename that jacket. You guys are hearing it here first. But I think that I'm going to rename that Batwing style cardigan the Vegas jacket because I just think that's cool. It rolls off the tongue. That's a fun name. I have actually been to Vegas, so I think that it's, you know, I feel good calling it that. I always think it's weird to name a pattern after something like a city if I've never been there. You know, so I think that'd be cool. And I would love to know what you guys think. If that's weird or if you like the name, but to me, it feels fitting. So we shall see. Okay, let me do a quick count. I may be over. Let's see. So the second front panel for my size, I should have 25 rows. So let's do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 26, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Ah, I did one too many. Okay. So we are going to frog this last row. And I'm going to do one more count just to be sure. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 25. Yeah. Okay. So I am finished. Front panels, back panel. That is our lovely U shape that will fold, and it'll go the opposite way, obviously. But we'll get to fold these over the front. So it is time for us to move on and sew up the jacket. So let's see what time it is. Oh, and we have plenty of time. Woohoo! I'm so excited. So I will be doing mattress stitch. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch up one side with you guys watching the stitching so you can see how that's done in case you have not used mattress stitch before. If you have not stitched up the sides of your cardigan before, you'll be able to see that. And then I'll do the other side with it facing me so I can continue to chat with you guys, but I want y'all to at least see that one side. And then we will be ready to try it on and make sure that it fits. So that'll be great. Okay, I do want to run through the comments. Ellen says the Christmas cardigan is awesome. Yes, Ellen has already finished hers. Shatika says awesome. Emma says it's the big snuggly white robot. Yes, I knew that I remembered it because I have seen that movie. The big snuggly white robot is Baymax. Thorne says thanks. I appreciate the info. Yes. Hoping for some sales on Bernat Forever Fleece or Lion Brand Thick and Quick. So can you still get Forever Fleece? So this is Forever Fleece Finer, but I haven't seen Forever Fleece and I don't know if you can get it online. So let me know if you're planning to get it online or if you're looking in stores. You should be able to find some sales on Thick and Quick, I would think. I know Lion Brand's already doing sales. I've been getting emails for sure. Thorne says sometimes you got to be the chunky yarn review you want to see in the world. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I see a cattail sneaking by. Yeah, I don't know where he is right now, but sometimes he'll get behind me in the chair. I have just enough space back there where he'll snuggle in. Yes, sparkle season. And there are some really, really cool yarn that people are using for the sparkle season challenge. Really want a whole load of fluffy fur yarn. Check out Hobie's Peacock yarn. It's a 5 weight, so I'm holding it double to use it as a 6 weight, and it is working up like a dream. It's so fluffy. It's really soft. It's not shedding a ton, which is awesome. And Hobie has the bundle and save. So if you're buying more yarn, you get more of a discount. So if you're buying a whole bunch of it, then it's going to be a lot more affordable than if you were just buying, a few skeins of yarn. And yes, we are Labyrinth fanboys over here. Yes, I love the Labyrinth. It's one of my favorites. Alice says love the Labyrinth too. And I've got a sticker with this on there too. That's like the purple ball of yarn. And then this is on a whole bunch of stuff, but this color combo with the yellow has always been my favorite of this one. I'm gay in general, but especially for Jareth. Yes, Jareth is one of my first crushes, says Emma. Thorne says I'm pagan and my main god reminds me a lot of Jareth, which is really fun. Oh, we've got some crap in the chat. I'm going to remove you. And put user in timeout. Yeah, okay, there we go. I'll post a pic. The yarn is wool and the gang and cinnamon dust. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see. Cannot wait to see, Alice. You have to share that. That's going to be so awesome. Thorne says I've picked out the colors from Premier Yarns, but I may change if I see something better and inexpensive. Lots of colors in this piece. Alice says I'm going to be doing a Ludo sweater and a red Boussole. Is that how you say that? Boussole yarn? I'm excited to see that though. I haven't made a Ludo since the first one either, so I think I need to do another Ludo sweater. Tracy says, I think you turned me to all bulky yarn, which is funny. I used to look at bulky yarn and say, what would I do with that? I'm making my daughter a sweater and looked at what is taking so long and bored. Yeah. I'm not about the bored the patterns that take too long and then I get bored. Hi, Tracy. Think I've seen you around. Yes, Tracy has been hanging out in lots of places for Pink Sheep. Alice says a Tonks hoodie and Sidar Happy Chanel Hippo. Oh, that's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to see your fluffy Tonks. Tracy, my sassy yarn is actually a 7-weight, so I'm going to have to use another yarn. Kim says, I admire the patience with the process, taking the time needed. Definitely. Lavender Lotus, I'm so excited for these releases. They're going to be fun. We got some fun stuff happening coming up in the next month or two. Thanks for the reminder about there being no rush. I feel better about my own first pattern that I'm working on. It's definitely a tough process. It is, Thorn, and you just have to have patience with yourself, because I think we're the only ones rushing ourselves. Like I said, unless a company has paid for you to get it done by a certain time, you're the only one putting yourself on a deadline. So I think it's important. I don't usually have deadlines for my releases. I'll have like a soft deadline, like within a month, like I'd like to release this in November, but then I remind myself that it's okay if it doesn't happen, because stuff happens. Christine, hello everyone. Thorns is maybe a French city because of Florence. That's true. That's true. The Florence jacket could be cool, but I haven't been there. One day. That would be really awesome. Oh, to be a fiber adorned bat in Vegas. Exactly. Exactly. I think the name change would be great, says Ellen. Thanks, Ellen. Okay, Kim says, I've seen Forever Fleece at Joann's online. Good to know. And Cinder said the same thing. Joanne carries it. Good, good, good. Oh, and Ellen, you're good. I just happen to have still be scrolling, so I didn't kick them. So if they come back, I didn't see a way to kick them. I just reported the comments. We had some spam happening. Okay, so let me flip this around, and we are going to do some work. I need to find a, there we go. I needed to find a tapestry needle, because we'll need a tapestry needle. And I'm going to flip this around. And we are going to use the last 15 minutes or so. Oh, and let's see. Christine says, how many 3-weights would I hold? Depends on what you're making. If you're using a 3-weight like for this, you're going to have to hold quite a few for a 3-weight. I mean, I would probably say for a 3-weight, maybe like 6 or so. It would be a lot of strands, but you can do a gauge swatch. So like hold a couple together, do a gauge swatch, see if you match gauge, see if you like the way that it's looking. If you want to watch the very first video in this series, so the intro video for the mini puff jacket, if that's what you're asking about, I actually make a couple of gauge squares and I talk about how to change it up. It looks like I have fan blades coming out of my head. And if you have questions, you can always send me a message or join the Facebook group and ask there. That would be good. All right, I'm going to flip this for you guys so that we can see what is happening. All right, let's do this right here. Yes, helicopter hat. Exactly, Thorn. Exactly. Okay. All right, so I've got all this mess because I got way more than I needed. And we are going to take a quick glance at our instructions because I am now completed with the rows 2 through 25. I have 25 rows. Okay, this will focus. There we go. Time to sew up the sides. Okay, so you're going to sew up the sides of your, what is now a vest, technically, starting at the bottom. So you'll be down here, starting down here at the bottom. And leave an 8-inch opening for the armpit. So if you guys can see, you're going to, it depends on your size. So again, you've got to make sure that you're looking at the right size. But for my size, I'm doing the extra small right here. And this one says I need an 8-inch opening for my sleeve. Okay, so you do need, and then obviously do not tie off or weave in your ends until you have tried it on. All right, so don't leave an 8-inch opening and then tie in all your ends because, you know, some people's arms are bigger and smaller than others. So you want to make sure that it feels comfortable before you tie off and weave everything in. Now you can tie off, just don't weave everything in right away. All right, so I've got myself a handy dandy measuring tape that I'm going to use. And the way that I do this, okay, let me move all of this stuff. I got so much stuff happening. I'm gonna move that right here. Okay. Oh, so I do need to finish this off. All right, so I did not tie off here yet. There's my hook. All right, so we're going to cut. I like to leave myself a pretty good tail when I'm cutting my yarn off. Okay, now I'm tied off and ready to go. Now, when you're doing this, you do not have to, like, I don't have to hold 2 strands of yarn together to sew up the edge. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. I think I'm just going to use maybe the Forever Fleece Finer. It feels pretty strong. So I think that's what I'm going to use to sew up the ends. All right, so that does mean I'm going to have to separate some of this out, which is always fun. Okay, so the way that I do this is I turn my work this way so that it looks like this. So I'm lining up these 2 bottom pieces here, and up here is where the hole, and let me maybe do it this way to show you guys. So I'm lining it up like this. So instead of being flipped open here, I'm flipping it up, and I'm arranging it so that I can see this is where the hole will be for the armpit, and I'm going to be working up till I have 8 inches here, right? So laying it flat like this really helps me with the sewing portion. So I'm going to flip it back since this is the way that I'll actually be sewing it. Sometimes I'll actually tie these bottom 2 together if both of them ended in the same space. You can do that. But the way that I measure to make sure that I have enough yarn to sew it up is I kind of estimate where I'm going to end. So if I'm going to start here and end here, I'm going to give myself at least double that in yarn. So I'm going to do this. I may even do like 3 lengths just to make sure I have plenty of yarn. Definitely double it. And then we do have these. These are really great with super bulky yarn. We sell these in our Etsy shop, but they're flexible. So it just makes it a little bit easier. Obviously, with this fleece finer, it's pretty thin yarn, so it's not an issue, but it can make it a lot easier if you're using really bulky yarn. Even like the jumbo yarn will fit through here, so that can be very helpful. All right. Yes, estimating yarn. That's one of my favorite ways to do this. Okay. So let's start. Mattress stitch, and I do have an entire video dedicated to this. If you have any trouble with this and you really want to see it up close, you can go to my playlist that has tips and tricks and find the one that's labeled mattress stitch. But pretty much with mattress stitches, you're going to go from the inside of your project in here to the outside with your needle on both sides, and you go back and forth. Okay. So to start out, I'm going to start at the very bottom, and I'm going to go through this actual first stitch down here with my hook from the inside to the outside, and I'm going to pull through, leaving a fairly good tail, at least as long as these tails down here. And now that I've gone through there, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, go from the inside to the outside and pull that through. All right, and I'm going to keep my tension soft for now. I'm not pulling this tight just yet. And then I'm going to work my way up the side of the jacket. And your stitches don't have to be super, super close together, but you also don't want them to be too spaced out. I try to at least put one through each row. So you've got these rows. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can count it that way and just make sure that you're going through each row of your jacket. So inside to outside. Inside to outside, back and forth. This really creates a nice, almost invisible seam. And when I'm going through these, I try to go underneath at least 2 strands of yarn, if not more, okay, to make sure that it's not just holding on to one little strand of yarn for your seam. Now, once you get at least 6 or 7 of these, I'm going to find the end. So here's the end. I'm going to pull that fairly tight. I'm not going to cinch it. But I'm going to pull that tight, and I'm going to hold it while I hold the bottom of my jacket here, and then I'm going to cinch. All right, so I'm going to cinch that closed. And that is where you really start to see how invisible this seam is when you're using this technique. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm probably going to do 5 or 6 This is one of those very meditative techniques once you get going. It's just nice to, I enjoy this kind of seaming. Because you don't really have to keep anything lined up. It really lines itself up if you take your time, you know. Whoop. Felt like I was going under way too much yarn there. So you can see now I am to a point where every 5 or 6 stitches, I'm taking the time to pull it tight. And it's not perfect. Like I said, I don't usually take the time to line everything up absolutely perfectly. I don't try to go through the exact same holes on either side. I just want to keep things even. And right now now obviously these are off a little bit because, you know, it's not going to be absolutely perfect there since this is your chain stitch here and those can be different. If that drives you crazy, my patterns may not be the perfect pattern for you because like I don't do wrong side, right side, wrong side usually. I just want to keep it really simple. I just want you to have something fun and simple to make that you don't have to put too much thought into. It's just that great instant gratification to make yourself a nice wearable. There we go. Whoop, lost my yarn. Did not have enough of a tail there. All right, we are almost there. So you can do a quick check. I know that's probably bigger than 8 inches right now. Oh, no, it's actually not. Okay, so make sure, I'm going to open that up a little bit so I can really see. But that's actually almost, let's see where, that's right there. You can see that. That's probably perfect, actually. So the way that once I have 8, because that's 8 inches now, which is what I need, the way that I tie this off for the fitting, and I'm going to do one more right here. There we go. The way that I tie this off for my fitting is I'm going to run back underneath that last stitch and pull that through and just make myself a little knot, because you can pick that undone, but I'm not gonna weave this in. I'm just gonna let that go, and I'm going to move to the other side. So for the other side, I'm going to face you guys and work that way. We got just a couple more minutes, so I am going to definitely let's put this. I'm definitely going to try to focus in on this and get this finished so that we can try it on together, but I need to cut myself another length of yarn. And we can go over a little today if we need to. Okay. Because I have goals I need to reach. All right, so I've cut my yarn for the other side. Pull that through. Okie dokie. All right, so let me make sure I haven't missed anything crazy. And yes, helicopter hat. There's a screenshot from Madoka Magica where Sayaka had a windmill in the background behind her head, and it looks like she's about to take off into the sky. The screenshot happened to catch her with this big goofy grin, so that makes it better. The colors are so cute. Reminds me of bubblegum ice cream. Yes, it reminds me of funfetti cake for sure. Like the confetti birthday cake, you know. Very useful about estimating yarn length. I think I saw that one. So I'm so glad that's helpful. So that's what I do every time. I think an important skill for a crafter is giving ourselves grace about it not looking perfect. It was made by hand, not by machine. Yes. And Ellen says, I love that you don't do right side, wrong side. That makes me really happy. Some people can't stand it. And what's interesting, some of my patterns, you can make it work. You know, you can line things up, maybe take a little more time to line things up, more so than I did. But there's a few of my patterns, particularly my Phoebe crop top, In an effort to keep it simple, there's a section that no matter what I did, there was no lining it up exactly perfect. Like it was not going to look exactly like the other side. Now, it's almost not noticeable, like for me, and if you're wearing it, you're not going to notice it. But if you look really close, you'll notice that one of the rows where you have to rejoin to make the other side of the bra top is not going to look the same as the other side, because the other side was made first as a part of the top, and then you had to attach on the other side. So there's this section, and I told him, I was like, you guys are going to have to let your OCD go on this one. And that was during the pattern test, because I knew that there was no getting around it. Like that it was going to look the way it was going to look. And, you know, so, my goal will always be simplicity. It will always be making sure that things are basic, they're easy to understand, quick and simple. Those really are my go-to traits for my patterns. And so, there are going to be times where it may not be as meticulous with things, because I don't want to confuse people, because I think that's something where, if I had tried some kind of crazy trick to make it look a certain way, then I would feel the need to make a video of how I did that. And I don't want to confuse people. So I try to keep it super simple. And so far that seems to be, it may not be everybody's thing, but, I think we all have to remember that we're never going to be everybody's thing. Like no matter what we do or who we are or what our personality is, not everyone is gonna resonate with us. Not everybody's gonna want to be our friend, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I think for me, friendships are hard. It's hard work to maintain a friendship, and I think when you realize that, and you realize that you'd rather have really strong connections with someone and with people, and you realize how hard it is to do that, it's kind of a sigh of relief that not everybody wants to be your best friend, because it'd be a lot to keep up with, So, and I feel that way about my patterns. My patterns are not for everyone, but I feel like the people that they are for really love them. It's something that they look forward to. I'm measuring this too. I think I'm good. Actually, I actually took this one up too much, so I'm gonna back this out. And that's the beauty. If you're measuring as you go, it's easy to pull a few of those mattress stitches out. All right. Perfect. Okay, so we are finally ready to try this sucker on, and I'm so excited to see what it looks like. So I'm going to make myself a little knot here in the armpit, and I am going to snip this because that's a really long tail. Okay, are you guys ready? Because we're going to try it on. I'm so excited. And we're just in time too. We have like 2 minutes left for today's live. So I'm going to back her up, and we are going to try this on. By the way, I had to tell you guys, so these are not everyone's jam. We just talked about that not everything is everyone's thing. But I am in love with these pants. I wear them all the time. These are Buddha pants. So they're like a drop crotch harem style pant, but they're high. They've got these great strings here, so I can wear them up higher. They've got pockets, deep pockets, and they have they all fit into this pocket for travel. So there's a little thing here. You can stuff them all into this pocket and travel with them. But with that, I wanted to tell you guys, these are 50% off right now, all of them. So if you like this style and you think it's fun, I've been wearing them a lot in my stories. All their entire website is 50% off right now. So that is definitely worth checking out if you have enjoyed, if you think they're as cute as I think they are, which is not going to be everybody. And that is totally understandable. Okay, guys, here we are. So it feels smaller. than my other one. I do think that I could have sized up. But I'm not going to be sad because I can add a little bit more of a border on the front. That's the beauty of this particular style, is if it's feeling a little smaller, you can add a couple more rows on the border, and we're going to do that together. But other than that, it's a really nice fit. The armholes are great, so you want a little bit of space there. Not that you guys all wanted to see my armpit, but there it is. Same thing on the other side. So it's definitely roomy. I think it'll be a nice structured look. The pockets are going to go right in here. I can make the border a little bit longer if I want. That's not necessary either. But yeah, I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. But if you are working along with me, this is your chance to try it on. But I love that you guys can see my fit check, because this is a more open style jacket. So if you're at a point here and you're like, this is not going, I mean, and I don't even have a large chest. So if you are larger chested, and you're feeling like maybe it's like way back here, maybe you do size up. You know, you don't want, if this was like way back here on me and I couldn't pull it up here, I'd probably need to size up one more. But for me, I know that the border is going to be at least 2 to 3 inches wide on either side. So that is going to come together. But I'm happy. I think it's cute. And like I said, most of my stuff hits me at my waist. I like to have that shaping with my clothing. Not everybody feels that way. Some people want it longer. The beauty of this jacket is, if you are just starting out, you know, if you want it longer, you could actually have made your panels longer. So when you start on your back panel, you can add, you know, 4 or 5 here. So if you're making a second one of these, if you don't want to frog this all the way back, you could add 4 or 5 to this back panel, add the same amount to each front panel, and then you're going to have a longer version of the jacket. The only concern that I have for this design is the pockets, because it's meant for you to be able to kind of sit with your hands in your pockets. And so if your jacket ends way down here, your hands are going to be way down here in those pockets, which for some people, that's what you want. But that's always my design concern when I design like the hoodie style pockets, is that it might look funny or may not feel comfortable if your pockets are too low. So that's how I feel about that. But super excited. We are making headway. I'm going to post my progress in the Facebook group. I would love to see y'all's progress if you're working on these, and I would love to see your fit check. So if you've tried it on, it's okay if you haven't cleaned your bathroom mirror. It's fine. I want to see what it looks like. So if you can take a selfie, bathroom selfie, this kind of selfie, I would love to see what your mini puff jacket is looking like. And maybe that'll get some people to feel comfortable joining in. You know, I think that wearables are still intimidating for a lot of people. You know, so if you have an opportunity to encourage people to try their first wearable, this is a great opportunity to do that, because I'm making it with you. And I think that really helps get rid of some of that intimidation or concern that they won't be able to complete it. Let's see. Thank you, Thorn. Thorn says that they love the piece so far and tattoo sleeve, and I need more, but we moved away from my tattoo artist, so maybe one day I'll find another one. I don't know, or I'll just have to go visit her in Georgia. Emma says it looks cute. Thank you. I'm glad you like it, because I'm definitely not frogging it. We're going with it. Okay, last announcement before I go. We have released our newest crochet hooks. And it's actually an older style that we brought back because it was a very popular one, and we obviously sold all of them last year. These are our new unicorn crochet hooks. So they have holographic pearl glitter. See if it'll focus. There we go. So it's got quite a bit of shine, which is really nice. And this is a purple to pink filament. And there's a little bit of blue to pink filament. So there's a little of that purple fade in there. But we have a lot of these, all different colors as well as hybrids. So this is one of our size 9 hybrids. So we've got this one. I'll show you guys a few more. This one is another hybrid hook. So this is one of our size 6s. We do have Bates and Boy So we've got the tapered style hook as well as the Susan Bates. Here's a Bates. So there's a Bates hook. And I do put mine, so when I hold them, I wanted to be able to reach this. This is really where I would have wanted this lengthwise because you still have room for your stitches, but I'm not way back here. I can't hold my hook that far back. So that's where that hits it. We also did include some size 8 and 9 millimeter mermaid classic 3D printed hooks. So these are kind of the elusive size. We've not made very many of these at all. This is an 8. I do not recommend these for like amigurumi because these are still plastic. Now these have 100% infill, so they're stronger. But you know, I'm always concerned. That's why I tell people if you do amigurumi, really, really tight tension work, then you're going to want to go with something more like this. Because this metal, we do not cut our hooks off. I know some hook makers have to cut the hooks off, which leaves a point of weakness here. These hooks run all the way through. So that gives you a lot of strength with these if you are working on projects where you're really having to have tight tension on your yarn. But I think that's everything, guys. So thank you so much for joining me today again for part 3. We will be moving on to part 4 next week. And that will be the front border. So we're going to add the front border first. And then I think it's front border, bottom border, sleeves are last. So the front and bottom border will be next. And hopefully we can get the front border and the collar done during part 4. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I should be live this Friday. I had to cancel last Friday. My guest had to cancel on me last Friday. So I will be live this Friday on Instagram for Pink Sheep and Friends. Stay tuned for the announcement of who the guest will be. And until next time, happy hooking!